Hey, welcome back to the Nets, the home of unbiased views. This is a channel where we talk about cricket and everything that is happening in the world of cricket. So, if you guys are coming in for the first time, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you have been here before, please do let me know how I'm doing, and I would be more than glad to take your feedback. So, talking about cricket, the big news now is the finalists for the World Test Championship have been identified. It's India versus New Zealand playing in a neutral country, Lords, England. So that would be something to look forward to, a mouth-watering contest. Both the teams have amazing fast bowlers. Both the teams have batsmen, a squad depth, and it is something to look forward to. Well, clearly, being an Indian, I would not have any unbiased view here. I would definitely want India to win, but I would like to have a closely contested game than what we have seen so far in this English tour. So, getting on with the game, first things first, the way India started day three, they picked up from where they had left off. Both Akshar as well as uh, Washington Sundar, they started off being a bit cautious. Anderson was probably looking like the most lethal of the bowlers, so they were being cautious with Anderson, and then they started taking it on when the spinners were in the attack. I think Dom Bess was the first one introduced, and Dom Bess was struck for a four, and then there was a cover drive. So uh, it's no secret Indians play spinners a lot better. And then after that, it was something special that would have taken to break that partnership from the likes of it, and it was a run out. And I would say that Akshar may have to be blamed for that, just because he took off without even looking at Washington Sundar, and by the time he turned around and came back, it was a touch too late. But nonetheless, uh, put up a partnership, decent partnership of 103 between him and Washington Sundar, and then Ishant was out on the very next ball, and Siraj couldn't hold through as well. So Washington Sundar was sadly stranded at 96. I think it has happened three times before. Once there was Wingsarkar who was stranded at 97 something odd in the past, and then there was Vishwanath, Kundappa Vishwanath was also stranded on the other end. But uh, it was that partnership that I think the Pant and Washington Sundar and the Washington Sundar and Akshar partnership that actually put the game out of England's reach. There was a big, massive partnership, and eventually a score of 170 odd. A deficit of 170 odd in the third inning was not something England would have been able to overhaul easy. So, started off with England probably had 3 overs to survive before the innings break, and they did relatively well. 3 overs, 6 runs without losing a wicket. That is exactly what England would have wanted. But then after that, they lost six in the next session, and it's nothing to do with the pitch this time. If you look at the pitch, Pant was trying to get his balls way around. He was collecting when Siraj was bowling. Pant was actually collecting the ball somewhere around his shoulders and neck area. There was a relatively great bounce in the pitch, and fast bowlers could have been benefited. So England definitely missed a trick by not playing Archer. But then after that, there was also the fact that the Indian spinners were a lot more adept and knew what needs to be bowled on this track. Jack Leach showed glimpses, but he couldn't really be as consistent as somebody like Ashwin and Axar. And in the end, it was a big total to overall for England. England, who in this series has crossed 200, I think just twice, couldn't really get over the deficit. So, a convincing victory by an innings and 25 runs for India. Rishabh Pant, who has found himself as a batsman and has started being a lot more consistent and has realized what he is capable of, was the man of the match. Ashwin, for pretty much contributing in every single game, was rightly adjudged the man of the series. A special mention of team planning. Again, Akshar is a great bowler. He is good, but I would not judge him based on what we have seen so far. I would say that let's give him some time. Let's prove him. Let us give him a chance to prove himself with bigger opposition before we start putting him in the same category as Ajay Jadeja. Ravindra Jadeja. But I would say kudos to the team management for India, just because they brought in Akshar when they wanted to get rid of Joe Root and his sweeping, and that put a massive doubt in England's head. They started putting in a leg slip for Joe Root that stopped his leg sweep, and pretty much it seemed like it was now all of a sudden when the sweep was his pressure release ball, it did not really come in, and a player of Joe Root's caliber also started playing false shots, and England could not really get going. So kudos to Team England. Definitely, Joe Root was, kudos to Joe Root as well for what he has achieved in international cricket. But somewhere we have to realize that he wasn't the same player after the first test. So now we know who the finalists are: India versus New Zealand, and hopefully we don't really blame the pitch anymore, because let's just admit it, it was a lack of talent, a little bit of a lack of talent from English side, who could have probably given a better competition to India in all the three test matches that were, after the first test match. That being said, series defining innings by Rohit Sharma, who was the standout batsman for India in this tour, and Ashwin and Axar, I would say both of them have contributed amazingly with the ball. But that 161 from Rohit Sharma was probably what set the tone for Team India. After that, the other one that we would talk about, and I won't really get into too much details with that, I have not been following it as much, was Sri Lanka versus West Indies, or West Indies versus Sri Lanka, the second one, T20. Sri Lanka set up a pretty decent target of 160. Considering West Indies and their batting lineup, 160 is definitely something that is easily chaseable, but Sri Lanka did everything right. They got early wickets, and then the spinners just took over, and West Indies couldn't really get past, and they were never in the game after that. So Sri Lanka have equaled the series 1-1, and now we'll wait and watch the third T20 and hope it's a close contested game as well. I would say advantage West Indies, but with Sri Lanka you never know which side shows up. And that being said, a mouth-watering contest at the end of the day today, that would be New Zealand versus Australia. Wellington hosts this international, and T20 international. Australia being 2-0 down have come back in 2-2, and Aaron Finch has delivered as a player, and it reflects on his captaincy as well. He has delivered as a player and as a captain. So we wait and watch what Aaron Finch can offer now in the final T20. It will be monumental if Australia can manage to come back from 2-0 down to winning the series 3-2. But New Zealand is always a tough competition, so let's just keep our fingers crossed, hope it's a good game. And after that, there was also some talks coming in from players like Usman Khwaja, who have said that there's no reason why Steve Smith may not be given the captain's armband again. And I'm guessing that that may be the case, very well be the case. Steve Smith, he was out for, pretty much cheating. He served his time, came back in, but right now there is the only one, he's the only one that looks like an actual leader. So I really believe in some point in the future, it may not be in the T20 series, but sometime after that, we might see Steve Smith getting the captain's armband again. And last but not the least, 50 years for Sunil Gavaskar in with international cricket, as a player, as a commentator, as an expert. And kudos to him. He was pretty much the one who revolutionized Test cricket. I think he was the first one who was a part of that series in 1971, where India actually won overseas. So kudos to him. Kudos to his contribution to Indian cricket, and kudos for inspiring millions and millions of youngsters who look up to him still. Beautiful message by Sachin Tendulkar for how he was, Sunil Gavaskar was his idol and continues to be one, even so far after he has retired. So I guess that's all that I have for today's edition. So guys, if you like this, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you want to give me any feedback, please do leave it in the comments. I will be more than glad to improve and work on it. And again, the channel is back to the nets, and we should talk to you guys soon. That's all that I have. Stay healthy, stay safe wherever you are. Thank you.